It's Friday, and what better way to celebrate a weekend than two ODIs over 3 days? The second of the three-match series between India and England is all set to take place in Pune. This is ESPN Cricket for Match Day, powered by Realme X7 5G and X7 Pro 5G. Looking ahead to the second one, I'm delighted that I make no selection changes. Ian Bell is still here, so too Sanjay Manjrekar. It's not a luxury that Owen Morgan or Virat Kohli can enjoy. In fact, not that England can enjoy because there's no Owen Morgan. So let's get team news straight away. As the toss has gone England's way, and they're going to have a bowl again, interestingly. Gee, and they've won some tosses no matter who shows up, Joe Root or Owen Morgan or Joss Butler. The toss seems to go just one way.
Yeah, that's working for us. That is for sure. So it's no questions on the toss. But yeah, hopefully again it was an amazing game of cricket, wasn't it? Ebbed and flowed both ways the other day. So yeah, interesting to see how this one gets off. Obviously England with a few changes there, with Livingston in for Billings in the same position, and then Topley instead of Woods. So yeah, some interesting things. But that is very different for England because there's not, Topley is obviously a left arm, will swing the new ball. But there's not a lot of pace out there for England, which is obviously what they've based a lot of their white ball strategy on, with Plunkett, Rashid, and obviously the quick bowlers through the middle. So
yes,
that's right. Yeah, so there's not a lot of pace there.
Okay, fair enough. Let's go into a detailed chat on that in just a minute from now. But before that, Virat Kohli doesn't seem to need these tosses, Sanjay. He says he would have been very happy to bat first. In fact, that's probably what he would have done. He said it in the first ODI and said it in the second ODI.
See, generally my view of Virat Kohli at the tosses, and even in the post-match presentations when he talks to us in broadcasting, he's generally very honest. And there have been occasions when he said he would have also liked to maybe field first. But in this series, interestingly, he said every time that he would want to bat first, which is, I don't understand the reason for it, because chasing is clearly an advantage. It's a good thing India got 317 in the first match. So, that total was seemingly beyond England. But after 25 overs, they were not sure. So I still think you have a distinct advantage, batting second, chasing. But Virat Kohli, for some reason, wants to put runs on the board. So there could be a reason that we don't know. But when you just look at the conditions, always an advantage chasing.
Yeah, if we look at the bowling attacks, both these bowling attacks are not full strength, right? There's no Mark Wood today, no Jofra Archer in general. You look at India, there's no Bumrah, there's no Shami. Bhuvneshwar Kumar is just coming back and playing 50-over cricket. Otherwise, there's a debutant in the last game in Prasidh Krishna, Kuldeep Yadav out of form. When you have a bowling attack that you're not sure of, does that give you more the reason to sort of bowl first, not put them under pressure to defend the score, Sanjay? Or could it be the other way around?
See, the pressure of batting first, and especially for modern batsmen, is what is a good score. And especially when you have a team like England in the opposition, you're looking at 300 plus, and that happened in the last game thanks to Krunal Pandya's 50. So that was a real bonus. It wasn't. That kind of contribution wasn't expected. You expected Krunal Pandya to get some runs, but I'm not so sure whether it's really the bowling that is contributing to the decision. Maybe he feels it doesn't have as many game-changing bowlers in the side, specifically spinners. But then you want to bowl in the afternoon because then there is a lot more in the pitch for spinners. Maybe that's another reason that it doesn't matter so much. If you had Chahal and Kuldeep Yadav both playing and India was relying on spin as they used to, maybe by bowling in the afternoon would have been an advantage this thing.
And are England just a chasing team now, no matter where and what conditions in which team, Ian? Or sometimes you look at Pune in the end of March and it's 38 degrees. It could go up to 40. And that ground can be quite ruthless, the Pune Stadium, on teams that field in the afternoon. Does that make no difference these days?
I do think they are a chasing team in general. Their record speaks for itself, and the batting depth they have, they do like to do it that way. And but I agree. I think sometimes it's a bit of a balance, isn't it? You want to take the pressure up with your experience, and for England that is in their batting, but also you want to expose the younger guys, don't you? I think Owen Morgan, again, they're still trying to find out their squad again, giving Topley an opportunity, Livingston now as well. So you want to give them as much opportunity, put them in pressure situations. Morgan's talked quite a lot about that for his squad in this series. But yeah, I think England do prefer chasing when it's there in front of them. As Sanjay said, it's not what is a good score because they go so hard. They are going to play one way. And when you take that out, they've got to try and figure out what's a good score, and they're just chasing. I think they much prefer that.
All right, let's talk about the changes. And let's go into England's because there are quite a few of them. Owen Morgan's split webbing means he misses out. Josh Butler will lead in his absence. And in comes David Malan, who was actually announced as a reserve player to this ODI side, but stayed on after the T20I. So he would likely bat in Morgan's position at either 4 or 5. It's an ODI debut for Liam Livingstone, who's had quite a run of it in T20 cricket all around the world. But now he features for England in a one-day international. And let's start with the call on Reece Topley for Mark Wood. It's something you did call in the first game as well, Veli. You were saying that there's a good chance that Mark Wood will play ODIs 1 and 3. They won't play him for all 3 games. But now all of a sudden there's no sort of fast bowler, that X-factor bowler that we were talking about. No Archer, no Plunkett in this series. And the absence of Wood, is that a bit of a concern now that this is now a fairly one-dimensional attack, seam attack without genuine pace?
I think it's nice to have a look at Topley. He's a tall left arm seam. He's obviously had a lot of injuries through his career. He's obviously done very well recently in T20, certainly domestically at home. He'll swing the new ball, and then at the back end, he'll go to different angles. Will try and bowl Yorkers at the back end and with a change of pace. So I think he's quite a smart bowler. Not lots of pace, but like I said, he'll try and make anything that's in the pitch. He'll try and get, like I said, up front swing or cutters. But it is not blessed with pace, and that's what England's, I suppose, in white ball cricket in particular, that aggression with the bowling attack, the pace that makes it uncomfortable for opposition batting lineup. So very different. But we'll see how we go. It's nice to see him have an opportunity. Yeah. Like I said, he does do well in white ball cricket at home.
There's a chance that you'll have Topley and Sam Curran bowl with the new ball. Sanjay, not long ago, there used to be this chat of left-arm seam against Rohit Sharma, Mohammad Amir, or Trent Bolt, even against Virat Kohli. Does that sort of hold good now? Is that sort of done? Is that outdated conversation?
Yeah, I was also very curious about it, Ronak. So I sought some figures and stats from Gaurav in Cricinfo, and we found in the last 3 years or so, there isn't a marked difference in the averages and the strike rate in left arm and right arm for both Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma as well. So maybe that's out of the way. That was the time when Rohit Sharma was a different kind of opener. His attitude was different. He used to push at deliveries. Now he plays with a still back. So I don't think that's going to matter much. Having said that, I think India now have got used to the pace of Mark Wood, and we saw that Mark Wood's pace and the length was not working for England as well as they would have liked. So it's not such a bad change where you have a left-arm seamer who is a little, I guess, more street smart, who might bowl the slower deliveries. And bowling in the afternoon, if you've got a guy who can take the pace off, then it becomes a difficult bowler to score off. So I would have liked to see Mark Wood play in this playing 11 if he had to, but bowl differently, because the Indians have now come to terms with the short ball. We're really scoring and waiting for the short ball to come, to the extent that Krunal Pandya also scoring heavily against the short ball. So it's not a bad change, because you might see a change of pace and length as well, more importantly, from England.
Okay, so we'll see how Reece Topley goes. He's going to get first crack of it. England having a bowl now. That's one 27-year-old making his appearance in this series. Another one making his debut. The story of Liam Livingstone's an interesting one, Ian. He's suddenly just put his name in contention with the international team again, debuted in T20Is 4 years ago, and since then has just been making a mark in T20 cricket. Here he is getting an ODI gig. Just your thoughts on what we can expect from Liam Livingstone, the ODI call-up batsman now.
Yeah, I mean, again, like as you said, I mean, he goes around the world now. He's played lots of T20. He hits the ball very hard. He's a clean striker of the ball, great fielder. And obviously can offer a little bit more with the ball as well. So he can bowl some off spin and can bowl a bit of leg spin. So I'm sure England might use that if they need to take a bit of pace off. But from the batting side, he's a good player. I think he's been around the squad now a long time, just needs an opportunity. And it hasn't been easy for people to get opportunities in the England white ball batting lineup, because it has been consistent and performing extremely well. So, yeah, I'm pleased for him. Hopefully he gets some good time in the middle and gets to show the power that he has and the shots range. I mean, again, he's not someone that's going to ramp like Butler, but also can hit straight as well. So, yeah, a real talented player. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes.
Billings is also missing out, and David Malan is coming. I'm quite interested to know, what are the sort of batsmen that England like to look at for their ODI team, Ian? Are they from the mould of the Bairstows, Roys and Butlers, in which case Livingstone fits well? Or are they more the David Malan is keeping Joe Root effectively out of the T20 team? So there's that style of batting. What appeals more to the England ODI side? To have more guys like Butler, Bairstow, or are there enough of those? Let's try and fit in a Root or a David Malan. Because if this was the case to just pick one between the two, I'd been curious to see who they would have gone with.
Yeah, look, I think it's more of the Bairstow Butler player. And there's probably one role now for a Joe Root style player. And that actually, when you look back at the last game, where England did miss was the quality of Joe Root, because he keeps the scoreboard ticking. His rotation of strike is the best we have in England. Yes, we have boundary hitters, but he keeps things going. He gets the dot ball percentage down. So look, yes, there's more. I would say in that England top order, it's one place for a, I suppose, anchor player or touch player that's going to knock it round, and the rest are going to go particularly hard. So look, it'll be fascinating to see how Milan goes. He's been brilliant for England in white ball cricket, certainly in different parts of the world in terms of T20. Let's see if he takes his opportunity. And I think, as for an Indian player now and an England player in white ball cricket, if you get an opportunity, take it. And then we've seen that with the Indian debutants. They've taken every opportunity they get. And for Milan today and for Livingston, take this opportunity.
Yes, Sanjay.
Yeah, quick thought. Maybe if Malan is the kind of, he has a brilliant strike rate in T20s. Let's not forget his start may be a little slow. But the number would be crucial for somebody like Malan. Wouldn't he fit ideally at number 3? Because I bring up the topic again, Ian, about Stokes. For me, batting down the order at number 5 would be that lurking danger and threat for India more than at number 3. And all his magic that he's done in the last year and more has been at number 5. Would that be something England would consider at all? Or it's a very, Malan at 3 and Stokes down the order a little bit?
I think so, Sanjay. I think that would be for me. I think Stokes actually, his role in the 50-over game, I think, has been perfect for England. Like you said, about in that 5-6 position, he affects and win games of cricket for England. I think where this T20 is just finding a way of getting him in the game. Obviously, England want to get their, match-winning all-rounder in the game, and they're trying to find that that way. Look, I mean, if Stokes, again, I suppose the positive of Stokes batting 3 is he's one of our better players and he gets to face more balls, but I think his role, to be honest, in 50-over cricket has been fantastic, and that's been proven with the World Cup. But I agree, probably for the balance, if you get off to an absolute flyer, to have a Milan or a Root, just to keep it ticking over, add some calmness to the chaos, I suppose, is quite a nice balance to have.
I'm also curious to read into how teams think in ODI cricket now. It's the least important format, at least for the current, for the next few months, Sanjay. And if England had one choice to make between Malan and Livingston, we could have known more. Maybe it's just a lack of options. They have to play 2 guys. Now they've got injuries. Look at India on the other hand, and Shreyas Iyer goes injured. You'd think, who's the like-for-like player for Shreyas Iyer? And you think Surya Kumar Yadav makes a stronger case for being that kind of batsman. Shubman Gill is closer to Shreyas Iyer, you think, for ODI cricket than potentially Rishabh Pant. But given one injury, and they've decided to go to somebody like Pant. Now we're going to let's have a bit of a chat on that in detail, because it's Pant's comeback into the ODI team, which arguably is perhaps the one format that he's yet to sort of master. But just thoughts on that, like that chain. They could have gone Surya, they could have gone Shubman, they've gone Pant.
Well, the reason is obvious, Ronak. It was like, Rishabh Pant sitting out there on the bench was weighing on the Indian team management. Rishabh Pant, the kind of form that he's shown of late, and it's just a self-confidence. You have to make maximum use of that. And then they had to leave him out to give KL Rahul an extra match and just get him back into the scheme of things. I'm sure it was a tough call, and it must have been something that would have kept some pressure on the team management. The first chance they get, they've got to get Rishabh Pant back in. Surya Kumar Yadav has a strong claim as well. Shubman Gill too, and Ishan Kishan. All these guys are there, but Rishabh Pant's current, the kind of ability that he has and the devastation that he potentially can create, it's hard to leave him out. So I'm perfectly all right with that call, and I can understand why that call has been made. Having said that, he's going to keep wickets, so that could be the question.
Yeah, so that's the other thing. I'll come to that in a second, but let's just discuss Rishabh Pant, the batsman now. He played quite a bit of those 16 ODIs when MS Dhoni was still keeping wicket for India, including when he was called into that World Cup. It's not quite been the sweetest of songs for Rishabh Pant in ODI cricket. 26 at an average, 103 the strike rate, and he's batted pretty much every position from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I think. Slotted in halfway through the World Cup. This format, Sanjay, it's a chance for Rishabh Pant to come back. What does he need to do to master the ODI game? There's that one question that he doesn't sometimes apply the right gears for the ODI game.
See, until the Australia trip, Rishabh Pant was an enigma for all of us. He had this long IPL failure, which is hard to understand for a guy of his ability and naturally suited to T20 cricket could have such a long, patch of failure. But that was a period when Rishabh Pant only succeeded in Test cricket. because all his other format, the numbers were disappointing because you expected him to click in T20s and 50 overs internationals, and he wasn't quite delivering, not getting the big impact innings, nor being consistent even at the test level. He had 4 good innings and he had 18 failures when he had 22 innings. So that was Rishabh Pant before the Australia season. I'd like to believe that Rishabh Pant now, after what he's done since, is a slightly different beast. So I expect all these numbers to change, T20s as well as 50 overs. How he'll do it in the way Rishabh Pant knows best. Nobody can predict how he'll do it. I just get the feeling he's a little more clear in his mind about how to get more consistency in his batting.
For someone who's played a lot of ODI cricket, Ian, is that the biggest challenge now for the modern day, the contemporary batsman, the Rishabh Pant, the blockbuster batsman that he is? He does well in T20s, and you can see why. He's done well in Test cricket, and there are those that aren't as surprised, but you can also, again, see why. However, when it comes to ODI cricket, could that sometimes be the hardest format to adjust to?
Possibly. I mean, firstly, just to go, I think it's a really good headache to have, isn't it, for India? There's so many players that can come into that position. Again, for me, having watched Pant through this series a bit closer than I have before, you feel like you want to get him in. He can be a match winner in all 3 formats. I think he's going to take a bit of time to figure that out. But I think we've seen through so far this tour, he's just maturing, isn't he? He seems to be, like, as Sanjay said, a different beast to probably when he's played ODI cricket before. And if he can take the learnings that he seems to be learning fast into this series now, that'll be important. But it is, I think, sometimes T20, it's there for you, isn't it? You've got one gear to go, and that is, I'm looking for a 6, then it's 4, then it's 3, 2, 1. Whereas 50 over cricket, you've got to read the situation, sometimes rebuild, see off a bowler, and then target down the line. So there's a bit more thinking to be had. But I do see a cricketer that's improving all the time. And you feel that India have to try and find a position, and a consistent position. As Sanjay said, he's batted in a lot of different positions, and that's very hard to get used to a role. So finding a role for him in the side consistently will be important over a period of time. But I've got no doubt with his ability, he will become a very fine player in this format.
Yes, Sanjay.
Ronak, that was an excellent point that you raised about 50 overs cricket and the adjustment. So I was just thinking, which are the kind of batsmen who might find adjusting to 50 overs cricket a little more difficult. And from what we've seen, Surya Kumar Yadav, Ishan Kishan, because they've been such devastating T20 batsmen, high on confidence, so it didn't take them, any trouble at all going from mile to, excelling at the international level. Now, if these guys have to suddenly play 50 overs cricket, it might be a little tricky for those guys as compared to, say, Shubman Gill, who's made a mark in Test cricket first at the international level. I know he's played a few white ball, matches, but for him, with his temperament and it's just his natural game, he might find taking to 50 overs cricket a little more easy. 50 overs cricket is such where, Virat Kohli is the perfect example of a guy who loves picking up the 1s and the 2s and playing in second, third gear for the bulk of the inning. But because when you look at 50 overs cricket, most of the time, it's a question. I mean, the 80% of the run making is through 1s, 2s, and 3s. So any player, enjoys that role will excel and become an exceptional 50 overs batsman.
Okay, very interesting. Now, should he keep wickets, and will he keep wickets? Sanjay?
Okay, two questions there. Will he keep wickets? I don't think so, because they want to give KL Rahul that comfort of being the first choice keeper batsman in this 50 overs side. Having said that, for the team's sake, who is the better outfielder? And that is where KL Rahul, is miles ahead of Rishabh Pant as an outfielder. So ideally, you'd want to have KL Rahul in the outfield, but that will just say that decision that India makes about how they're thinking about KL Rahul.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Gautam Gambhir brought that point up as well, Ian, during the T20Is, that KL Rahul had the security of being India's white ball keeper batsman, and that changed in the T20s when Pant came in. Now, all of a sudden, he was given the nod ahead of Pant, even though Pant is called to the ODI squad. Does it make such a difference? Or is it a very individual thing, whether you're given 2 roles? If KL Rahul's told you're not the keeper, Pant's going to keep, does that suddenly make him a little more insecure about his position in the team?
I think it can be a bit of a headache. We've had it with England, with Bairstow and Butler, because both of them are keeper batters, really. And Bairstow, I think there is a pressure. When you're when you know you're keeping, you're batting actually a little bit of pressure off, because I suppose you're involved in the game in another way. You've got another skill set to deliver. And we've seen that definitely with England. It can be hard to balance. Sometimes Joss keeps, sometimes Bairstow keeps. And you know, like you said, you want consistency. And if KR Rule is in possession, he won't want to let the gloves up. I'm pretty sure, you know, he'll want to keep wicket. So it is a bit of a headache to have. But if Pant's in and he's not as good a fielder as KR Rule, as Sanjay said, you probably want your best fielder out there as well. So it's not as straightforward, is it? And I imagine from the individual point of view, when you're in possession, you don't want to give anyone else an opportunity to take that off you. So yeah, quite a complex scenario, and I've seen it with Bairstow and Butler.
Sanjay?
And it's something that I've followed very closely, especially with Johnny Bairstow, who was constantly, he wasn't keeping wickets, was constantly sort of nudging the team management and the selector that he would want to go back to keeping wickets. Because temperament, I think, is the key here. There are some guys who just want that second string to their bow, and they're then able to, you know, deliver and that thereby be, you know, contributing to the team. Now, in this regard, it doesn't matter whether Rishabh Pant keeps wickets or doesn't. His batting and his attitude is not going to get affected, but KL Rahul's will be. From my reading from a distance, I think KL Rahul is somebody who needs all the confidence, and currently, you know, just handling him mentally is going to be the key. So if that is going to put him under a little bit of pressure, maybe India might want to make the sacrifice, but to keep it simple, because there is a big difference between Rishabh Pant in the outfield and KL Rahul, you would want Pant to be keeping wickets. But I can understand if KL Rahul is given the job, just to make him feel a little more comfortable and secure.
Okay, we're seeing a Rishabh Pant coming at a different time, like Sanjay Manjrekar has said. At that time, when he wasn't taking the gloves when Dhoni was playing, Pant was still looking for his place in every format. Here he is now secure in the Test format. You'd think even in the T20s, will we see a different Rishabh Pant to the bat? We'll find out. Now, Owen Morgan, the batsman's one thing, Ian, but Owen Morgan, the captain, such a big imprint on the white ball team and the white ball setup of England. Josh Butler to lead in his absence. What sort of captain is Josh Butler? What can you expect out of him? Is he just a steady, able deputy? Is he more than that?
Well, they'll think together. I mean, they work very closely together. I think Josh from behind the stumps is a massive sounding board for Owen as well. And they trust each other on and off the field incredibly well. So I don't see there being too much difference. Josh will be on the same wavelength. What we know with Morgan in particular, he's an aggressive captain. We saw that I think he was holding a slip to Pandya, which again is an incredible thing, and then actually got him caught there at that point where there was no real necessity to have a slip. So he's always hunting for wickets, always aggressive. Hopefully Josh will carry on the same way and like I said, be looking for wickets through that middle period, not trying to survive. But I think that will happen. I don't see it as a problem. He's a very good thinker. And the one area that, again, whatever format of the game, you know, Josh is an amazing person for the captain, whether it's Joe Root or Morgan, to lean on. And in that dressing room, he's a very big calming influence on the group.
And getting polite, Ron.
Very polite, yeah.
Very polite. I've never seen a captain after winning the toss telling Virat Kohli, "Will field first, please."
Well, that's so nice and British. What's wrong with being polite? I hope you're not saying it in a negative way.
I love politeness. I love it.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a comic from Australia. You said it's amazing. The amazing things that you can get done by just being polite.
Okay, sure, fair enough. I just got a quick glimpse on what was shown as the team sheet on Star Sports here, and it looked like they've slotted Pant to be keeper. So if that is some sort of official confirmation you get on the team sheet, then you have Rishabh Pant keeping wicket today, which is interesting. Sanjay, you want a quick comment on that? If that is the way India have gone, sound call?
As I said, I didn't expect that, but it's the right call, purely from the team point of view and cricket point of view, because Rahul is a much better outfielder than Rishabh Pant.
All right, fair enough. One selection call, which we'll probably discuss more in detail. They stuck with Kuldeep Yadav. There could have been a temptation to swap the wrist spinners around. He didn't have a good game, Sanjay, but are you happy to see that?
Now, this is an area, the only area I feel is a bit of concern for India going forward, and, being put to the test and against the best team in the world whenever that happens, is that who are the game changers with the ball in this Indian 50 overs team? And you can see Shardul Thakur doing the job in the last game, but can he do that every game as a seam bowler? So that's where I'd like to see a little more quality in spin. Krunal Pandya played superbly and he bowled tidily, I thought, but he's not like the Chahal Kuldeep combination. So India slightly weaker in that area, which used to be their great strength. And we talked extensively about Kuldeep Yadav. So let's hope Kuldeep Yadav goes back to being a Kuldeep Yadav. Unfortunately, bowling at night, which means he won't get as much assistance from the pitch. But that is one area of weakness, I think, the spin combination that India has.
Okay, Sam Curran takes the new ball. That's no surprise to you, Ian, I guess. He starts first and Topley at the other end, two left
Yeah,
armers.
yeah, he did well, didn't he? The power play up front the other day for England was outstanding. That first 10 overs, so more of the same. But again, they don't have the out-and-out pace, have they, to worry about this time with India. So if that ball does stop swinging quite quickly, which it doesn't last for long, we could probably see a bit more of an aggressive power play from India, actually, especially with the way Dhawan played. He's in a bit of form now. Confidence is high. So I expect this to be, again, a good battle, but India might come out on top here.
Okay, England had their moments in that last game. Let's see if they can have more moments in this one. Thank you very much to Sanjay Manjrekar and Ian Bell. Pick up this chat and hopefully no more than 3.5 hours of time, which is the scheduled close of
No
the 50
chance.
overs of this innings. Yes, let's be positive. Yeah, let's try and be positive. Let's see if Josh Butler and his politeness can just marshal his bowlers around a little faster. So pick up the chat on ESPN Cricket for Matchday, powered by Realme X7 5G and X7 Pro 5G.